Men want wives they can carry, my mother said. We need to take off another inch. My parents believed the perfect wife should be small enough for her husband to lift with one arm. They started keeping me small before I could walk, and they never stopped. My first memory is being hungry. Not regular hungry, but deep hungry, the kind that makes your bones ache. Mom measured out my food in tiny portions that never changed even as I got older. Growing is for boys, she explained while I watched my brothers eat second helpings. Girls need to stay compact. When I was 6, I shot up 2 inches over the summer, and my father was furious. What have you been feeding her? He screamed at my mother. She's getting lanky. No man wants a lanky wife. That's when the box started. Every night I slept curled up in a wooden crate barely bigger than a dog kennel. Your spine will learn to curve naturally, Mom explained while closing the lid. Men love a woman who can curl up in their lap. I cried the whole first month, but eventually my body adapted because it had no choice. They bound my legs at night with tight wraps so they wouldn't lengthen while I slept. They made me wear a compression vest around my torso 16 hours a day to keep my ribcage from expanding. Delicate, Mom would say, while tightening the straps until I couldn't breathe. We're making you delicate. By the time I was 11, I had stopped growing entirely. My body had given up trying. Mom cried with joy when she measured me and realized I hadn't gained a single inch in 2 years. It's working. All our sacrifices are finally paying off. I was 17 years old and the size of a 10-year-old. My bones were so brittle that I fractured my wrist picking up a gallon of milk. My joints had fused at wrong angles from years of being compressed and bound. I couldn't fully extend my arms or legs anymore because they'd been folded for so long they'd forgotten how to straighten. The pain was constant, a deep grinding ache that never stopped, but Mom said that was just growing pains in reverse, and I should be grateful. My spine had curved into a permanent hunch from the box. My ribcage was so compressed that I couldn't take a full breath. I looked like something that had been crushed and put back together wrong. My parents were thrilled. You're absolutely perfect, Dad said one night at dinner. We've had so many inquiries. Men are very interested in a wife they can carry around like a doll. Then they told me they'd found my husband. His name was George, and he was 43 years old, and he specifically wanted a wife he could lift with one arm. He's willing to pay a bride price, Mom said excitedly. He says he's been looking for someone your size for years, but most girls are just too big these days. George came for dinner with his mother to finalize the arrangement. He was enormous, well over 6 feet tall with hands like dinner plates, and he looked at me the way someone looks at a puppy in a pet store window. Stand up and let me see you, he said, and I stood on my aching legs while he circled me, inspecting. She's perfect, absolutely perfect. I could fit her in a suitcase. We've worked very hard to keep her compact, Mom said proudly. 17 years of careful management. Let me try something. George reached down and scooped me up like I weighed nothing, which I basically did. He bounced me in his arms like he was testing a piece of furniture, just like I imagined. Light as a feather and small enough to fit in my lap. Something in my hip made a sound like a stick breaking, then something in my ribs. Then I was screaming and George was dropping me and my mother was shrieking and I hit the floor still screaming because bones that had never developed properly had finally snapped from being handled like a toy. The ambulance came. The x-rays showed everything. Years of compression damage. Malnutrition so severe my bones had the density of an 80-year-old woman. Joints that had fused wrong. A spine that curved in ways spines weren't supposed to curve. The doctors kept asking questions and my parents kept trying to explain. We were preparing her for marriage. Men want small wives. We were doing what was best for her. You've destroyed her skeleton, the doctor said. She has fractures that healed wrong because you never took her to a hospital. She has bones that never formed at all because you starved her during critical development periods. It's not starving, it's portion control. We were keeping her petite. Her husband specifically requested someone compact. Her husband? The doctor looked at George, still standing in the corner. That man is 43 years old. He wanted a wife he could carry. We were fulfilling a market demand. Security escorted George out. Police escorted my parents out. I've grown 3 inches since then, and my doctors say my body is still trying to catch up. I'll never be normal height, but I can finally stretch my legs out when I sleep. I didn't know how good that could feel until I tried it.